So which Major League team is the most underwhelming in all of baseball? We have a tweet that says, the Angels will finish under 500 for the 7th year in a row, the longest active streak in Major League Baseball. Didn't see that coming, honestly. I mean, yes, we know the Angels haven't had a winning season in a while, but I didn't expect them to have the longest active streak of losing seasons in baseball. I mean, they've had more consecutive losing seasons than the Baltimore Orioles, than Arizona Diamondbacks, some of the teams who've been at the bottom of the standings for a while. And this is even more alarming when you realize who's on the Angels roster. You have Mike Trout and you have Shohei Ohtani, two of the best players on the planet. Mike Trout is the best position player who's ever played the game. Shohei Ohtani is making a name for himself, and he's the best two-way player who's ever played this game, as far as talent goes. But nonetheless, the Angels fail to even have a winning record. How could this be? And I think a lot of people have criticized them a lot in past years because the Angels failed to surround Mike Trout with talent. Now that Shohei Ohtani's on the scene, that only makes it worse. It looks a lot worse that they can't surround him with talent either, and they have these two players just kind of rotting away in Anaheim. And that's really the most accurate way to look at it. These players are just rotting away in Anaheim, not getting to experience any postseason baseball. Who knows? If Shohei Ohtani hits free agency, who's to say that he's going to want to stay in Anaheim? I think for a team like the Angels, it's not really that they've had a lack of effort. They've definitely signed some big names in the offseason. They've had bad luck with injuries. And most of these signings just didn't really hit the way the Angels expected. You have guys like Albert Pujols, whose contract ended up being an albatross. You have Anthony Rendon, who they just signed to a big deal a couple years ago, who's been hurt for most of it. You've had other players come through who just haven't really panned out the same way Angels fans hoped and Angels front office members hoped. So I think for a team like this, the solution is to build through the draft. But the problem with the Angels is, yes, they do have a losing record every year, but they're not down at the very bottom of the standings. If they were down at the very bottom of the standings, they'd be having top picks in the draft, like let's say a top 5 pick each year, and they'd be getting these top blue chip prospects. And that's how teams like the Orioles have rebuilt themselves in recent years. That's how teams like the Astros rebuilt themselves a few years back and ended up winning the World Series. But the Angels are kind of in this no man's land where, yes, they have a losing record, but they're not losing enough to get the best of the best draft picks. So it's going to be tough for them to build through the draft. And I think that's really the only solution because at this point, they have thrown a lot of money at the issue and it hasn't brought them any success. So hopefully the Angels find something that works for them, but it's a shame.